All right, chapter 5, circulatory system. Again, they give you a lot of good old information in the beginning of all these chapters. The circulatory system passes nutrients, hormones, gases, blood cells to and from the cells within the body in order to fight disease, maintain homeostasis. That's one of the main functions. Underline or that one, maintains homeostasis. I say it's a lot of transportation going on with the circulatory system. All the good stuff's happening in those capillaries, but everything else is more transportation. And it also stabilizes your pH, body temperature. Underline these as well. The circulatory system consists of pulmonary circulation. Right above that, put lungs. Systemic circulation, that's all through your body. Put body on top. Anything when they say systemic, it's your whole body. Coronary, of course, that is another name for your heart. So it goes through all those parts. Your lungs, your whole body, and your heart. Pulmonary circulation, underline that first sentence. It carries oxygen-depleted blood from the heart to the lungs. And it's got the whole process here. And then it returns oxygen-enriched blood back to the heart. Underline that. Y'all know that. Don't think too hard on that. That's why we go into the lungs, so we can get some oxygen. And then it goes away and gets to the other parts. Then it travels through your heart, right atrium, tricuspid valves. A lot of times people have problems with their valves. You might hear murmurs. You might hear people throwing blood clots, because if their valves are messing up, that means blood's sitting somewhere too long. And that's why we had to worry about children. A lot of babies are born like that, and they really are worried about them. But most of the time, they heal on up and have no problems through life. But that's why they really checking that baby's heart, because it has to close up when they're born, and sometimes it doesn't, and eventually it will. That's why they're always worried about babies and those valves. Then underline, which we already know, pulmonary veins. That is the one vein that has oxygen in it. One vein in the whole body that has oxygen in it. And then that last part, it goes through the aorta, which is the big. If you ever have an aortic aneurysm, I know y'all heard of that. That is big. That is your biggest artery you got. If you have an aneurysm, that means it done blow up. Sometimes your arteries are weak, and brain aneurysm, they have aneurysms everywhere. It just means that there's a weak part there and it blowed. It's like a leaky valve. But imagine that's your main, it comes right out your heart. And that is very dangerous. When they say, and those people die. You don't want that. But if they survive, then they survive. That means that was life-threatening, definitely. But just know that that's your aorta, and it supplies your body. The rest of your body after it's got all this good oxygen. Systemic circulation, all that is underline that first little part there. It says heart to the body. Pulmonary, of course, that's heart to your lungs. Your systemic, heart to the body. Coronary, blood supply to the heart. Don't think too hard on those. Just put them where they're at. Lung circulation, body circulation, heart circulation.
Sorry, so the pulmonary is heart to lungs.
Mm-hmm. And back. Yeah. It's just saying that's where that's one type of circulation. One trip your blood does. And it goes through your body, it's the other trip, and then all through your heart. Closed cardiovascular system, all they're trying to say is you don't have holes anywhere in your body, leaking blood. It's all closed off. That's all it's really trying to say in 1,000 ways. But that's what they're meaning. The heart, that first sentence there, the heart is the organ that pumps oxygen-deprived blood to the lungs and oxygen-rich blood to the body. They're just trying to go over some stuff you already know. They're just putting different words on it. Y'all know that. They're putting fancy words to it. And you don't have to go through the actual ways it goes through the heart. It's just, this is your heart. It goes into your heart, and back to your lungs back into your heart. But that's how your whole, everything just flows. Goes through your heart, to your lungs, back through your heart. And that's the whole circulation. And they're, eventually you're gonna know the top is your atrium, bottom is your ventricles. We're gonna actually label this, but top is always A's, bottom is V's. And I always say V because of the bottom, and that's just how you do your heart. But go through your atrium, then your ventricles. We're not gonna go thinking too hard on that. Blood vessels. Of course, we know those are your arteries, capillaries, and veins. We are expert vein people. We're looking for veins. Phlebotomy is all about veins. Venipuncture, vein puncture. That's what we do. Arteries carry blood where? Away. Your veins carry it back. And them capillaries, where everything's happening, underline enable exchange of water and chemicals between blood and tissues. Fancy, right up under blood vessels. Just a fancy way to say that's where everything's happening. That's where all your exchanges are happening. That's where everything's happening. In those little bitty capillaries. That's why they're so important. This next page, 53, it actually takes you through the whole system. From your lungs, from your breathing on in, all the way back to where it comes back. We're just going to remember some things in here. The lungs are the organs where the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide between air and blood take place. Y'all know that, but I want y'all to remember that sentence. They try to mess you up. The lungs are the organs where the exchanges of oxygen and carbon dioxide between the air and blood take place. That's the only place we're going to have air and blood interacting, in your lungs. Which I always say is just stuff is amazing how we are made. All that takes place in the little bitty alveoli. That's the little bitty. I say it looks like a broccoli. You know how broccoli is? With the little bitty things on the end, those little round things. That's kind of like your alveoli in your lungs. Everything takes place in them little bitty things. Everything else is trying to get it there. Alveoli is what's important. Then underline that sentence as well. It says this exchange takes place within the lungs alveoli or air sacs. Underline that. We're not going to go digging, so don't go digging. We're just learning the basic, how the exchange is happening. Come on down. Blood is very important, and we know this. In oxygen carrying capability. So come on down where it says each red blood cell contains the substance that carries oxygen called hemoglobin. Y'all know a little bit about hemoglobin just by dealing with your phlebotomy stuff. But you gotta have your hemoglobin to carry that oxygen. If you got low hemoglobin, you're not carrying your oxygen as well. Doesn't mean that you're not carrying it, but your body's fighting to tow oxygen. If they ever say you got a high hemoglobin, that's probably what's happening. So for some reason, the hemoglobin is not carrying the oxygen around like it should. So your body produces more. And that's not a good thing either. You can have too much hemoglobin, which will clog up your system. And then come on down, that very next sentence, underline, star it. Each hemoglobin carries 4 oxygen molecules. And you got to remember back in maybe I don't know what grade, biology, where they always said H2O2, things like that. That's your hydrogen and your oxygen. It's kind of the same thing. They have to bind together, those pluses and minuses. If you don't have that to bind, then it does not work. Of course, you know, oxygen spreads into your tissues. Come on down to carbon dioxide spreads from the blood into the airspace. And y'all know that. That's the exchange we do. Inside, you know, oxygen is flowing. Then when we breathe out, we're breathing out carbon dioxide into the air, which is actually, it takes place in our lungs, in the alveoli. We're taking in the oxygen and we're bringing it, carbon dioxide, back out. But that's where you want to remember those words so you don't mess that up. Carbon dioxide spreads from the blood into the airspace. And I forget what they say, but it confuses people. But it goes into the airspace. That's what I want you to remember. Bicarb is like a substance that is created when things happen, when we use our oxygen, and sometimes that goes out of whack too, and that they've got medication for that too. But that's just like a byproduct of our bodies doing what it's supposed to do, and sometimes that can get too much, and that'll cause people to not breathe properly. But there's medications, there's things they can do to fix that. But don't worry so much about the bicarb. We just need to know everything's happening in your lungs between air in your lungs. Page 54. Again, we are not digging in how all these veins and arteries are developed, but we do need to know that first little part right there. Arterial and venous systems develop from different areas. The arterial system mainly develops from aortic arches, whereas the venous system develops from 3 bilateral veins between 4 to 8 weeks of human development. Underline that. When are your artery and venous systems developed? Between 4 and 8 weeks of human development. And y'all already know this from phlebotomy. We've already had this test. Up under there where it says venous development, we need to know, the arterial development, last line, and your venous development. The umbilical arteries form the internal iliac arteries after birth. Just put that in your head. Umbilical arteries is the internal iliac arteries. Those are just like where your belly button is, and it goes down to your bottom part of your body. And the first sentence there on venous development, the venous system mainly develops from the umbilical veins, the cardinal veins, and the vitelline veins. And you see, I don't even know how to pronounce that, but you just know that the umbilical veins and arteries are awesome, and they make our whole body. It starts there. That's another place. Everything's got to cut off when you're born. It's amazing to me that we even can live without being attached to somebody. It's just amazing. But underline that as well. But don't worry about that other stuff when things are, we're not worried about that. Flip on over. Medical conditions. And this is how the rest of your chapters will go. We're going to talk a little bit about it, talk what's in it, and then the diseases that go along with it. For medical assistance, you really want to know people's diseases. Know the medications that they're on because of those diseases. And know what the doctor might order because they have that disease. And that's how you're going to focus. And they just give you a few of them, but that represent this chapter. So we're going to talk about arteriosclerosis. What is it? It's a disorder of the arteries characterized by buildup of fatty deposits, which is cholesterol. Also debris, lipids, which is fat, in the arteries' inner walls. We do not want that to happen, because what happens is the fatty deposits harden and then block your arteries. Sclerosis, you'll see that a lot in different types of diseases. They'll have some sclerosis things, which actually means just closing up. As also we mean scarring. But when you see those words, sclerosis, things like that, that's what it's meaning. It is letting you know that it's closing stuff up or scarring it. So those two words kind of go in together. Causes, maybe a diabetic. My poor friend, she's in the hospital now. Her whole family's been dialysis, and half her family's passed because of this, and now they might try to get her on there. She's not ready yet though, but things happen with diabetes. They ain't no joke. It messes with the little bitty capillaries. Cause let's go back to high school. Hold on. C6H. Oh gosh, what's the sugar molecule? Anybody remember that? It's a big one. A lot of things. C6H12O6. I don't know, but that sounds big. But all of those things have to combine to make one sugar molecule. So you got this big old sugar running around in your system. And then you got your little capillaries that it barely can get through. Get a lot of these going on compared in your very cellular level. You get a lot of sugar in there. It's blocking everything. That's why it messes up their total circulation. You got them little bitty capillaries and all that sugar can't get through there. Imagine you give them some medication for that infection that they had on their toe. They got this sugar running around in there. Medication can't even get to the toes. That's why they lose body parts. Eyesight, little bitty things going on there. Kidneys, very little bitty things going on. Diabetics and kidneys, they fail together. Don't add hypertension to that, because hypertension is messing up them little bitty things as well. And that's why all those diseases kind of run together. The kidney, diabetics, all that go together. So does arteriosclerosis, especially if you're eating a high-fat diet, obesity, high blood pressure, family history of arteriosclerosis. If your family has it, that's something that'll carry on through. You got to watch yourself. Even if you're eating healthy, some people just, and it's crazy, some people just are going to have a high level of cholesterol running through their system. So make sure you get that checked so you won't be that person that didn't know. Symptoms. They went to the extreme. Chest pain, slurred speech, or numbness in the arms or legs. What's that called? Stroke. They had a stroke. They don't went to the extreme. They're not even talking about arteriosclerosis because you really can't, there's no symptoms to that. But the symptoms that we're going to see in the long run is going to be that stroke, that heart attack, that something where that clot of stuff is messed up. And they went straight there. Diagnosis can be made on physical exam, intravascular ultrasound, underline that, and CT scans. They will actually go in there and look in your heart, which is just amazing. And they can go in there and get little, they call them stents, and open up places where that's been closed. Things like that helps along the way. How are we going to treat it? Of course, cholesterol medication. If they ever tell you or put you on cholesterol medication, take it and eat better along with it. But that means, you've got some high levels. Beta blocker medications and antiplatelet drugs. Antiplatelet drugs, we know from phlebotomy that causes clots. So if it's antiplatelet, means anticoagulant. So they're giving you blood thinners so you won't clot. because that will cause clot. And that's another medication they'll probably put you on. Especially if you've already had a stroke in your life. Some people have those, they call it transient strokes, where really you had a clot that kind of just went through your brain. And it might affect you. Some people it affects more. Depends on how slow or what damage it causes. But sometimes it just goes through. But you got to tell your doctor things like that, and they'll give you some, so you won't have a stroke in the long run. And any of your family members that's already had a stroke, and this is what happened to my husband. I guess he was so young. He was 24, had a stroke, and they didn't put him back on no stroke medication or antiplatelet medication. So guess what he had? Another stroke. Because you're already susceptible. Your body knows he's 25. They should have. But they was more like, well, he's 25, he'll be okay. Because he came over it. It took him a while to learn back to walk, do all that. But now he can't walk in the nursing home. It messed him up. But do that for your family. If they've ever had a stroke, they need to be on some blood thinners. I don't care who it is, what age they are. Edema, another name for swelling. We know there's too much fluid in the body. Can mess up kidney failure, heart failure can cause edema. My friend's got it. That's what she's in there for right now. They actually put her on a dialysis machine and pulled a lot of fluid off her. She lost like 18 pounds of fluid. She said, okay. I weigh 178 pounds now. But she was full of fluid. She couldn't breathe. She walked a little bit, got tired. And I seen those symptoms now and I look back. Because I'd be like, come on, girl, what's wrong with you? You need to exercise. That's what I tell her. But it finally came that she just couldn't breathe. And that's what it was. It built up. And her whole family been on dialysis. So she's got a touch of it. She's trying to fight it. What are the symptoms of swelling? Tissue, stretched skin. You'll see it swole. You'll see the swelling. Chest x-rays, blood tests, urine tests, all help identify it. And we're going to give them some kind of medication. What you think we're going to give them if they've got too much fluid? Diuretic, Lasix. And that's, you'll see that. You put all that stuff together and you can see your patient as a whole person. Looking at their diseases, medications, symptoms, and what medications they'll be on. Hemorrhage. It's a condition of blood loss from blood vessels. Underlying that can be traumatic or medical. In other words, sometimes you can just have an aneurysm where it just happens and you hemorrhage to death. Or you had a car accident and somebody cut you or shot you and you have a hemorrhage. Same thing, but that's the traumatic. So know those words, and they're just special words. It's either traumatic or medical. And a lot of problems that you have, especially with bleeding, are going to be traumatic or medical. Traumatic causes, abrasions, puncture wounds, incisions. Medical can be intravascular changes. Something happens, and I say you blow one of your veins or blow one of your arteries. Most of the time it's an artery, and that's why you bleed to death inside. Or you have a brain hemorrhage. You can have, there are hemorrhages everywhere. And all it is a weak spot, just like a plumbing. There's a weak spot in the plumbing, and that's where it leaks out. Or guys always tell it's just like your motor. You know, it's a oil leak somewhere, and they get it. Okay, that's all it is. But if you bleed and bleed and bleed out, you're going to die. Same kind of thing. Treatment. They went on to tell you pressure to wounds. Underline it. How we're going to treat hemorrhage. Y'all already know pressure. Cold applications reduces blood flow. And underline, start at. You will see that again. How are we going to treat a hemorrhage? Pressure, and right. Do heat increase blood flow or decrease? Heat increases. Cold decreases. So anytime you're bleeding, friends bleeding, mother bleeding, you bleeding, ice it down. That's going to help you. We don't need anything else. Pressure and ice. Thrombophlebitis. What is thrombo? Y'all know this? The blood clot. What is flea? Y'all know this as well? Put that word together. What is phlebotomy? Veins. There you go. Itis. Inflammation. That is exactly what the disease is. You got to put that word together, and it's telling you what it is. It's swelling or inflammation of a vein caused by a blood clot. Underline that. If you put those words together, that's why medical terminology, we don't teach that, but you get it all in when you learn these words, you get it. You can't help it. It kind of infuses in you by accident. So thrombophlebitis. It's telling you what's going on. Swelling, inflammation of a vein or veins caused by a blood clot. Underline it. What is it caused by? Major surgery or sitting for long periods of time. You know, after a C-section. Anybody had a C-section? They should have put, and this is new practice, it didn't always happen, but they should have put the long, not quite just the boot, it comes on up. Where it's like a big blood pressure cuff. It squeezes and then lets you loose. Squeezes and lets you loose. It's faking walking for your blood. So your blood won't stay in one place, so it will not clot. When your blood sits, you're sitting. When your blood sits too long, clots occur because things happen and blood is just sitting still. That's what happens. So after surgeries, a lot of people can't move anyway because they've done had surgery. You can't get out of bed. You can't do nothing. You stay. And that's why they'll give you blood thinners right after surgery. They will so you won't catch clot. Things like that, they'll give you, and or say you done had some injury, they tell you to do ankle pumps. So all that is to make sure, and they really preach that about my knee surgery, but make sure your body, your blood circulate better, gets it moving. Fake walking, and that's another thing. You got to move around for your body to work properly. Even your gastrointestinal system, everything. You got to move. But that's why you do your ankle pumps as well when you've had knee surgeries or C-sections. They still do that. You got to move around so you won't catch a clot. But that's what that is. Airplanes. There's something weird about an airplane. If you're in an airplane, you need to do some ankle pumps. People, I worked at Turning Point just the other day. Guy came off the airplane. We get people from everywhere. We didn't know what was going on with him. He kept feeling his back of his leg hurt. And that's where a lot of them occur. They call it deep vein thrombosis. It's a deep vein clot. And saying, oh, my leg hurt. Oh, my leg hurt. Wasn't too many more symptoms, but his leg just hurted. And he just complained so much. And I noticed it had swollen a little bit. And then I don't know what went through my head, but I pushed his leg back. That's the sign too. If you push on their foot back toward them and it really hurts, then he probably got a clot back there. And he just hollered. I said, oh, Lord, you got a clot. And that's a very scary thing because that clot can dislodge and go straight to your lung, kill you, dead. To your brain, dead. But he went on, and they've been working on him, and if you can catch something like that, they're just going to give you some blood thinners, or really in the ER they're going to give you some blood blasters. So real quick, like they'll break up that clot, and then also so circulation can get back going where it's supposed to as well. But you got to watch out for sitting a long time. Tell your people to move around. Your lungs won't work right. How many people have been in the hospital? Lay down in the hospital. Guess what they catch laying in the hospital? For your lungs. Pneumonia. Because they're not moving around. Your body requires fluids and moving around to help them lungs keep. Same thing with your blood. You can't sit around. We got to move it around. All right. Symptoms include swelling, inflammation, pain, tenderness, of the veins, skin redness. We're gonna look at it. That's how we're gonna diagnose it. How we're gonna treat it. Sometimes antibiotics is trying to mess with you and get infected. Analgesics. What are analgesics? What are they used for? Pain or NSAIDs. What are NSAIDs? Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory. For inflammation, yes. And all that is used right there. Thrombophlebitis. So for your chapter 5. Maybe if I find it. The circulatory system consists of pulmonary circulation, systemic circulation, coronary circulation, closed cardiovascular system, and I didn't really pinpoint it, we talked about it. But it's very obvious. What's missing in your circulatory system? What's the main thing in your circulatory? That's your blood. Heart. So your circulatory system consists of pulmonary circulation, systemic circulation, coronary circulation, closed cardiovascular system, and the heart. Pulmonary circulation carries oxygen-depleted blood from the heart to the lungs. Arteriosclerosis is a disorder of the arteries characterized by buildup of blank deposits. Fatty deposits. The heart is the organ that pumps what deprived blood to the lungs?
Oxygen.
And what rich blood to the body?
Oxygen?
Oxygen, right. Blank is the condition of swelling, most commonly in feet and legs, caused by too much fluid in the body tissues. Edema. Blank spreads from the blood into the air space. What leaves your blood from your body into the air? Carbon dioxide. The arterial system develops between how many weeks of development?
4 to 8.
Blood vessels carry blood from the blank back to the heart. Veins of your body. From your body back to your heart. Causes for hemorrhage may be blank or medical. Traumatic. Systemic circulation carries oxygen-rich blood from the heart to the body. Anything systemic, it's got to do with the whole body. Cardiovascular, not so bad, right? And each of your systems from now on, kind of goes right along with that. So let's get on your muscular system. Again,